these dusters work. They work so well, but I'm so sick and tired of spending so much money on the disposable fluffy things. Every time you're done with these and you just toss them in the garbage, it seems like such a waste. I figured there's gotta be a better way. One of the problems I have with these is the fluffy part sometimes gets stuck on either some nails that are up there or just even in the wood here. And I'm hoping that the new ones will prevent me from having to pull all the little bits out that are left behind. I'm sure I can come up with some way of creating my own that are washable out of some kind of fabric. But I'm sure someone online has come up with this already. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I watched a bunch of different videos about making these from scratch. I was wondering what type of fabric would be best. I started looking into flannel and fleece and microfiber. Microfiber, I personally don't like the way that it doesn't always pick up all the little bits of fuzz that it leaves behind, so I'm thinking it may not be the best for this. And one of the YouTubers that I watched mentioned that they prefer flannel over fleece, but I am doing low to no budget right now, and I've got this fleece blanket. It has some holes in it from the dog. I'm not going to be using it, and what I love about the fleece is you don't have to cut on the bias, meaning that you don't have to turn it at an angle to cut your pattern out this way, because certain fabrics, if you cut it this way instead, it will end up fraying at the edges, but this type of thin fleece material should not fray. I will put a link to that YouTuber's video that I'm referencing and also put a link to the website that has these patterns here as well. These are the patterns that were provided, which is awesome. I also double checked to make sure that this is actually an inch by using a ruler, just to make sure that my printer is printing everything out correctly, because I want it to be able to fit. And if you'll notice, the prongs of the duster handle do fit perfectly here. The only thing that worries me is if you sew all the way down this seam here, you'll only be able to get this up this far, and the rest at the top is just going to be flopping over because it doesn't have the plastic structure on the inside. So I am not going to sew the seam all the way down. I'm probably going to stop somewhere in here. So hopefully it's a little bit more secure. I also noticed that if you lay a regular duster on top, it's a little bit more narrow, but I'm thinking once we cut all of this out and get it sewn, it will shrink up a little bit as it's being used as a duster over time anyway. The instructions say we're going to need 2 of these rectangles, and this page says we're going to need 2 of each. So 2 of the skinnier ones, and then we go all the way out to C, and then all the way out to B. So we need 2 of A, 2 of B, 2 of C, and then 2 of D. And then we'll stack them all on top of each other to do the different seams. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's cut these out first. And they're ready to go. I'm going to use Sharpie to outline these because I don't really care if I can see the pen marking, because these are going to be cut and used for a duster anyway. I see that. Yeah, perfect. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I don't know why I'm trying to get this so perfect. I'm only going to make 1 of these dusters so far. I feel like I need probably 8 of them just to clean the whole house if I'm going to do the whole house. But I really just want to see if I can make 1. Plus, I don't have those fancy fabric roller cutter thing. I think that would make my life so much easier. I'm crossing my fingers. I even have a pair of scissors that can cut through fabric without causing problems. Now we're going to fold the edge, fold on the dotted line. Whoops, too far. Okay, let's fold this side. Okay, let's do a better job there. All right, so now we do 2 of these. Last but not least, the most narrow panel. All right, now, Hopefully we can find some scissors that will actually cut this fabric. This is amazing. It's cutting it like butter. Okay, that's awesome. On to the last side. That's pretty good though. If I can make one duster, I can probably make at least 2, 4. I could probably make at least 8 dusters out of this blanket. So that is awesome. Got all of our pieces here. First, we're going to take the 2 larger pieces and layer them on top of each other. And I think we just do the center seam first. You could totally sew all of this by hand. It wouldn't take incredibly long to do it, but it'll be so much faster with the machine. It's just been a while since I've used the machine, so it's going to take me a little bit to get it set up. It doesn't really matter what color thread I use for this, because again, I'm just using it for cleaning, so I wouldn't have minded using this, but you can see it's starting to run out of thread. I don't want to run out in the middle, so I'm going to use this black thread instead, and I don't care if the bobbin on the inside is a different color, but I do want to check it and make sure it has enough thread. I don't even want to take it out. It seems like it's so happy in there right now. You know what? I'm just going to use this thread until it's gone, and then we'll rethread everything. I forgot to make the markings on here so that I know where to sew my lines. So I'm going to do that right now, and I'll get right back to you. After folding the paper, I made a dotted line on the outside. I'm going to do the same on the right side. Since I'm making the lines on the outside of the paper here where it's folded, I know that I need to do my line. I need to sew right on the inside of the black markings here and on the inside of that one as well. So it's the right size for when we slip our handle into it. Looks like it'll work. As you can see, my center line is slightly off. I'm going to have to fix that whenever I sew it and go just to the right of that center line, because I want to make sure that it slips in perfectly. I mean, it may still if I just shove it in there, but I want it to be right there. Just by eyeing it, I was able to make a more centered line down the middle. You're going to be sewing them together, so you don't actually have to make the lines on the back. But I am going to now stack each of these sizes on top of each other. I'll do a better job in a second. It's just that I'm holding the camera right now. So I'm going to put these on top of each other. Now I need to find the centers of the top and bottoms of the other panels. Just the top one's fine because we're going to have them stacked on top of each other. But that way it's going to make it easier for us to line these up later on top of this when we go to sew it all together. So now the smaller panels are stacked on top of each other, or on top of themselves rather. And I have the center, top and bottom marked on each of these panels. So before I was mentioning that I don't want to sew all the way down the middle because I want the bottom of this to be able to go in a little bit further, and I don't want the top, like if it was down here where they suggest, this whole top is going to be flapping around because there's going to be no structure to hold it. So if we move this up a little bit, but I don't want to go too far because these panels are going to be sewn just in the middle on top. So this whole section at the bottom, it's not going to be connected. So if that's too big of a space, then this part's going to be flapping too much. So we have to find a happy medium here. I think that up to this line will be best. If we just go, I need both hands now. There we go. If I only sew up to this line right there, I think we'll be doing pretty well. All right, I take it back. I just realized we are going to have to mark the middles of the second piece of fabric as well, because this is going to go onto one side, then we're going to flip it over, and the other one is going to get is going to get placed on the other side. So we do have to mark the middles of all 6 panels of the top and bottom. So let me do that now. All I did was mark the centers of all of the additional panels here, because later what's going to happen is we're going to stack them. Of course, I'm only using one hand right now. We're going to stack them something like this. That's going to go on one side, and then we're going to have this one sewn down the middle on the other side of this guy, which means I probably have to mark the back of this too. Okay, I'll do that now. All right, I don't know yet if I'm even going to need these dots, but just in case, they're there. And after all of that, I totally didn't even film it. I thought I was filming it and I wasn't filming it. So this is what I did. I sewed on this seam, I sewed on that seam. First of all, does this even fit? Oh, it totally fits. So well, actually. That kind of makes me happy. So we're gonna line up this guy to the middle. And, all right, let's try this again. This is gonna be really thick. This has me quite nervous, actually. Ooh, careful, careful, careful. Careful. Just open, not going too fast. No, please, 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 please. No, not right in the middle. Look at that. It's a big mess. Holy cow. Okay, hold on. Let me pull this out because this is just a big giant mess and it's almost out anyway. Seriously? Oh my gosh, look at this. How did all this get stuck? It started out great and then it turned into this nightmare. And the stitches look way too close together. I think I need to lengthen the stitches here. Maybe that's part of the problem. All right, I'm gonna fix this and get it back and running again, and then we'll try again. So the thing that worries me a bit is that may have been too thick, and really I was supposed to have this sewn on it too. I mean, that just, I don't know how that's gonna work. I guess the only thing I can think of is maybe really reducing the tension and hoping for the best, but this is gonna be really tricky. How do I get these on here and also have a stitch in the middle? I'm not quite sure. We're gonna try it and hope that the tension changes will fix the problem, but we'll see. I'm gonna try to line this up. Sorry if the camera can't see this. Let's line these guys up. Hopefully in the middle, as best as we can. I can kind of see where my stitches are, so it makes it easier actually to line it up that way. This is crazy thick. This must be why people are using flannel instead. Slow and steady. Let me put it over here. Slow and steady, slow and steady. Oh, it doesn't sound good. Does it not sound good? Nope. Nope, 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 nope. No! It's doing it again, isn't it? Why is this happening? Look at this. What an absolute mess. Okay, let's try this again, but we're only sewing half at a time. And this is not even thick fleece either. It's pretty thin and worn because we've had it for so many years and washed it so many times already. Okay. All right, let's try this again. Okay, here we go. Okay. Let's take that pin out. Okay, almost done. See, that worked. Okay, so there's half of it. Let's do the other half. Okay. So we have this side and we have this side. Now we have to take these two sides and sew them together. So I have to put the middle to the middle. Now I'm going to take the two inner parts and sew these together and hope that because, you know what, no, I'm not going to just hope. I'm going to pin them together. Remember, we need to go in a bit so this actually fits, because you don't want it to be too wide now. Take out the pin. Sorry if you can't even see what I'm doing here. I'm going just on the inside. Hold on, that seems to be getting too close there. Let's take out the pin. Okay, that worked really well. I don't even think I need to tie off those ends. Let's just trim. Now, let's pin this side. We're gonna hope for the best. There's just nothing else we can do here but hope for the best. This one worked out well too, so I'm pretty sure that we found the problem. And that this whole time, it was that I just had too thick a material. There's only so much a machine can do. This is not an industrial machine. The only problem is now it's just too loose. It works, but it's too loose. I need to actually sew in further. Which side is further out? This one. So I'm going to take this one. I'm going to sew it just further in. I'm not even going to seam rip it. So the first line was here. The next line was just on the inside. Let's try this again. All right, it's better. I think this might work. I almost want to sew the other side smaller though too though. Let's cut these ends and test the fit one more time. So same thing here, it was here, now it's there. It almost looks like I need to go in 1/4 of an inch on each side. Not 1/4 of an inch, that's a lot. But anyway, let's see, I made this real small now. You know, I like it better. I like it better. It does squeeze it a bit, but I do like it better. Okay. All right, that's the way to do it. Where first, we sew half of them in the middle, then the other half, and then we just take the two largest inner flaps and sew them on each side. That is the way to go. All right. Something we haven't done yet is go through and cut the little wispies that are supposed to do the cleaning. You just don't want to cut all the way down to the seam. Uh-oh. These don't cut all that great anymore. I was talking about these awesome cheap scissors. No, they don't cut all the way through. Okay, be careful when you're here so you don't cut through the seam. All right, so that's one side done. Let's do the other side. Okay, let's try it. It looks pretty good though. So remember, if you push too far, it's going to go through because it doesn't have that line or that seam. Whoops. It doesn't have that seam down the middle. But oh my gosh, if that doesn't work, amazing. Oh, I love this. This makes me so happy. Okay, now that we know that it works, I have to cut the other one to make the fringe, and I have to make, I gotta make so many more. Oh my gosh, what a job. Okay, stop complaining, just do it. But look how great this is. This can just go right in the wash and get washed. I am so excited about this. Now the trick is teaching my kids how to put these on correctly. Oh my gosh, I think I have a blister on my finger. I've been doing this for 2 days. But I'm done. Look at all this work. 9 of them.
I mean, it picked the dust up.
And you can see the dust on there.
We interrupt this video to bring you Where's Rocco?
Hi, Sleepy Bear. I take the traditional Swiffer versus, looks like they both did a pretty gosh darn good job. Amazing. Saving money. I believe this is going to be a really good change for us.